A Virginia judge has allowed actor Johnny Depp to proceed with his $50 million defamation lawsuit against ex-wife and actor Amber Heard. The judge ruled that the case would not be dismissed, reflecting Heard's plea to scrap the proceedings. Depp's lawyer Ben Chu said that the Fantastic Beasts star is most gratified by the court's decision. Judge explains why last-ditch appeal from Amber Heard's team about Johnny Depp lawsuit has failed. The ongoing legal battles between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard will seemingly continue going on, while Amber Heard's side has repeatedly attempted to get Johnny Depp's defamation lawsuit thrown out of a Virginia court. A judge has shut down yet another attempt at dismissing the case. While Heard's side hoped that the issues at hand had already been dealt with in another court, the judge did not agree. The most recent attempt by Amber Heard's legal team to get Johnny Depp's defamation lawsuit thrown out was done by making a request that the Virginia Supreme Court make a ruling on whether or not the results of the verdict in the UK libel case that Depp brought ultimately prove that his defamation claims were without merit. Johnny Depp sued UK newspaper The Sun for referring to him in a story as a wife-beater. That judge found the paper's claims to be substantially true, based largely on Amber Heard's own testimony. Depp's defamation case stems from a Washington Post op-ed in which Heard claimed to be a survivor of domestic abuse. While the issues at hand are largely the same, dealing with the question of whether or not Johnny Depp was abusive, they surround two completely different sets of statements. In Courthouse News Service reports, this is why Judge Penny has correctly rejected the request. The case will not move up to the Supreme Court of Virginia and will be heard. Instead, the case is currently scheduled to go before the court in May 2022. At least in theory, if both cases were dealing directly with Amber Heard's Washington Post op-ed, there would be grounds to see the case thrown out, but because that's not the case, any allegedly defamatory aspects of the publication must be dealt with separately. That doesn't mean that the UK trial won't be a factor in the defamation case. One can assume Heard's legal team will use that verdict as much as they legally can to show Depp was abusive. The ruling was perhaps not that much of a surprise, as the same judge made a similar ruling back in August. At the time, the judge herself was asked to dismiss the case. This new ruling was an attempt to make a similar argument to a higher court, but that's how been rejected. This marks the fourth time that Amber Heard has attempted to get the defamation lawsuit thrown out, but unless a new argument can be found as to why that should happen, it may be the last. Amber Heard has also filed a countersuit against Johnny Depp for defamation, so the two will be going head-to-head in a courtroom next spring, assuming there are no further delays. The U.S. actor asked the Court of Appeal to grant permission for him to challenge the High Court's ruling with the aim of having its findings overturned and a retrial ordered. At a hearing last week, Mr. Depp's lawyers asked the court to consider fresh evidence relating to what they said was Ms. Heard's claims that she gave her $7 million or £5.5 million divorce settlement to charity. Mr. Depp's barrister Andrew Collicott QC told the court that claim was a calculated and manipulative lie. After the couple divorced in 2016, Ms. Heard said she would split the $7 million between the Children's Hospital Los Angeles and the American Civil Liberties Union or ACLU. But Mr. Collicott said the hospital wrote to Mr. Depp's business advisor in 2019 to say Ms. Heard had not made any payments. The court heard $100,000 or £72,000 was donated to the hospital and $450,000 or £322,000 to the ACLU, but Ms. Heard claimed she made a further $500,000 or £358,000 donation to the charity anonymously. Ms. Heard's legal team has previously said Amber has already been responsible for 7 figures in donation to charitable causes and intends to continue to contribute and eventually fulfill her pledge. But Adam Wolansky, QC representing the Sun's Publisher News Group newspapers or NGN, said the new evidence Mr. Depp wanted to rely on would not have any impact on the result of the libel trial. On Thursday, the court refused permission for Mr. Depp to appeal. Speaking at the Royal Courts of Justice in London, Lord Justice Underhill said, "We refuse Mr. Depp's application to admit further evidence in support of his proposed appeal, and we conclude that the appeal has no real prospect of success and that there is no other compelling reason for it to be heard." In a statement after the ruling, a spokeswoman for the Sun said the Sun had every confidence that this leave to appeal application would not be granted and are pleased with today's decision. The case had a full, fair, and proper hearing, and today's decision vindicates the courageous evidence that Amber Heard gave to the court about domestic abuse, despite repeated attempts to undermine and silence her by the perpetrator. A spokeswoman for Amber Heard said in a statement, "We are pleased, but by no means surprised, by the court's denial of Mr. Depp's application for appeal. The evidence presented in the UK case was overwhelming and undeniable." She added, Mr. Depp's claims of new and important evidence was nothing more than a press strategy and has been soundly rejected by the court. In a statement, Mr. Depp's solicitor Joel Rich from the law firm Schilling said, "The evidence presented at last week's hearing further demonstrates that there are clear and objective reasons to seriously question the decision reached in the UK court. Mr. Depp looks forward to presenting the complete, irrefutable evidence of the truth in the U.S. libel case against Ms. Heard, where she will have to provide full disclosure." Heard tried to dismiss the case, her third attempt so far, on the basis of Depp losing a libel lawsuit in the United Kingdom last year. The lawsuit was against tabloid The Sun, which had designated Depp as a wife-beater. The judge ruled that both cases were different since Heard was a witness in the libel case, but not a party. While writing her opinion, Judge Penny Ascarati wrote that the Aquaman actor's claims for dismissing the case were unfounded, stating that upholding English libel judgments in the United States would create a chilling effect, adding it could create a dangerous precedent. The Virginia lawsuit also alleges that Depp was the victim of domestic violence in his marriage with Heard, and her allegations about domestic violence cost him film roles. The case proceedings will commence in April 2022. The verdict marks a victory for Depp in his long-running acrimonious legal battle with Heard. The verdict comes on the heels of another ruling by a New York judge which permitted Depp to determine if his ex-wife did donate a part of their $7 million divorce settlement to the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU.